Here's how I added 100 fish to my open world fishing game, Open Fishing XL. This is Postmortem, so this game is already out. It did like okay for like first game. It did well. And I just want to show you like how I made my first like ever game, at least on Steam. How I went through the process, what I did wrong, what I did right, and how you can actually get something out and finish it. So that's kind of the point of the series. I want to show you how an actual game dev release something makes their game. It's not going to be like an exact tutorial though. So let's get into how I did it. So first I made a big list of all of the fish. There were 100 of them. I think I said that already. And that took ages. So yeah, it was just a big Google Docs list. I use this other program nowadays. It's called Typora. It's way nicer than Google Docs. It just saves on your PC. It's not like some stupid cloud stuff. And it's just markdown files, so they aren't like locked to the program. It's so much better. Anyway, crapping on Google Docs aside, I just made a big list. It's not that deep. It just takes a long time. You just gotta make you just gotta Google a bunch of fish species, get a bunch of them. I think I got mainly from Wikipedia. I got like a lot of actual real life fish, and then I changed the names slightly in creative and less creative ways. And that's how he ended up with the thick mouth bass, because it's actually a large mouth bass, but like it made him thick, because that's kind of similar to large. I don't know. I needed a lot of fish, okay? So yeah, we got a bunch of wacky fish that aren't actually in this nondescript Southern America. I kind of set this area in like the south of the US. I don't think anyone noticed because it's too pixelated and like low poly for there to really be any setting. But that was kind of the vibe I was going for, like kind of vaguely southern. But yeah, so just make a big list. The fish now in the game, I'll show you actually all the little book I have of all the fish in it. It's basically kind of like a creature collector game. This where you collect like a whole bunch of fish. And I'll go in here. Spoilers, by the way. But yeah, so like this here is a green gill, and it has like some info. Before, this literally just had the fish, where you caught it, and what bait you use, which you select yourself, which I think is fun. I think that's a lot more interactive than it doing it for you. I don't know why I said that twice. I guess I didn't really get the word out right. Anyway, so yeah, so just make a big list. I kept it simple at first, which is I feel important for making it manageable. Like I did this in parts. I first did so essentially first there was only this in the fish. Then I added the info and then the taste later on as well. So maybe the taste was first. I'm not sure, but that like I actually added taste text here later, but the taste like actually being in game was earlier. It's confusing. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So yeah, so I kept it simple at first. That really helped to actually get the huge list done. So if you want to add like a big content heavy feature to your game, I'd say do it in parts. And now I think I'll show you the mess that is the area system. So I did this the most caveman brained way possible. So there's a water type system in this game. It has lots of areas, and they're just big colliders. Spoilers for the map, by the way. But yeah, they're just big boxes. And there's a big raycast when you fish, like the bobber goes out, bobber lands. It does a huge raycast down from where the bobber is. And then it just checks what like water type collider it hits. And they're just higher or lower, depending on which one I found more important. So like the swamp one is the highest one, I think. And forest is slightly lower, and then industry is way higher than swamp because that's like in the swampy area most of the time. So yeah, they're just big colliders. It's kind of a mess. But, you know, it worked. So that's all that matters. Big team of this game, it worked, so that's all that matters. And so yeah, that's what I did for those. They're just a big list, so I'm not actually fully sure how this works anymore. So it has this list here. Oh yeah. Oh, that works even stupider than I remembered. So all the fish's data is on the water type areas, so like the swamp, general, river, they have a reference to a prefab, which is how the fish are stored, which is also kind of terrible. I should have made this a scriptable object in retrospect. They're really useful things in Unity. I'm not sure if they were in here back then. I didn't use them in this project, but they're great. I really like them. They're in there now. For sure. I think they're probably in here too. But yeah, so I recommend using the scriptable objects for stuff like this. That they're really nice. But I just used the prefab, and that kind of messed me up because I changed things in the prefab, which I then had to save. And yeah, so the fishing system is kind of a mess. But it worked. You know, like I went around the issues that I created for myself by not just using scriptable objects. And it was fine. So the lesson we learned here is do it the caveman way. Do it the way you understand, not the proper way. Because a lot of the time that actually gets you to finish the feature and doesn't get you too confused. Like, I used to be really worried about getting features to work properly. That doesn't actually mean anything. Everyone's just doing things. And just doing things properly means following a whole bunch of like coding guidelines, yada yada yada. That might be useful in like group projects. I feel as a solo dev first game, you should not worry at all. You should not make spaghetti code, of course. You should make code you understand and is simple to read, doesn't like spaghetti. Like it doesn't interfere with each other too much. Like you shouldn't spaghetti code, you should stupid code. Caveman code. That's always how I did it. So yeah, that's why this is a mess, and that's why I'm actually fine with it being a mess, because it's a contained mess. This mess doesn't affect the rest of the game. It's just a slightly messy system that I'll probably have redone if I or like I would have done differently if I worked on it now. But it worked for this game because it was a small-ish project, and then it doesn't matter as well as much if you do things stupidly. So. Let me tell you now about how I actually model all these fish. So the fish are JPEGs of 3D models, which I made in Blender. They're actually PNGs, not JPEGs, but I prefer the word JPEG because it sounds funny. So yeah, I made a render model and a non-rendering model. I have the whole workflow. I explained in an old video about this. It's on my channel. It's probably called something like. There's quite a bit of views, so you can probably sort by most popular, and then find it like that. But I'd find like a reference image and then just trace that around, and then I'd expand like the middle bit of the fish. So I kind of like, let me show you on this little red gill here. This is bluegill, by the way. That's the joke. It's a different color. It's not really a joke. It's more of like I needed a name, so there we go. So the texture is missing because I made this on a different PC. I think that's probably why. But yeah, it's basically just a stupid little fish model that I just expanded out. And then mirrored, of course, to the other side. And I did some probably pretty wonky stuff modeling this. I'm not sure. Let me check this here. No, it's fine actually. It's not that bad. I just modeled this basic fish, then I stuck a texture over it. You can see the UVs here. Oh yeah. Oh, this looks interesting, alright. So I would just grab an image of a fish, and I'd just stick, like the fish elements over it. It's kind of weird how I did it. I'd just like take some UV bit, and then I'd like move it around for it to fit. I didn't actually make a custom texture for each fish. I just moved the UVs. Saved me a lot of time in the end. Some people might say, no, that's wrong, you shouldn't do it like that. It saved me time. I had to make 100 fish. Screw you. It works. The game is done, the game is fun, and the fish don't look too bad. So that's what matters. I'm very much a that's what matters kind of dude. Minimalism, I guess, in game development. That's a thing. I don't know. But yeah, if you want to see the proper modeling workflow I used, check that older video. It has like 100 views. It's like, I think there's a tuna on the front of the video. It's some blue-ish thumbnail. That's like just look for something like that, like my modeling workflow or something like that. And I think you'll find it on my channel. It's pretty cool. So I hope this gave you some insight in how I go about adding really big like content features, basically by just not doing them all at once. So hope that helped. Have a nice day. Go do some fishing, maybe if you can, or make your game even better. So yeah, goodbye.